Well, glory be and mercy me. We've done it yet again. I'm back from vacation, took a week off, went out to Cape Breton with my siblings, had a beautiful, beautiful time. If you've got the opportunity to go out to Cape Breton, you guys go out to Cape Breton. It's an absolutely gorgeous time. So, and then of course, when I come home, what greets me but the Roe v. Wade scandal going on, the complete delegitimization of the American system of governance. I mean, they're not going to protect your rights, guys. Like, that's not what the system does. And speaking of ways that the system is completely delegitimizing itself, here in Ontario, we've got an article coming out of the Toronto Star basically saying, hey, Doug Ford is raising emissions in this province by 400%. That's the projection, right? We're talking about a radical extremist government who is propelling us forward towards our own destruction in a magnificently serious way, all because of his own climate change denialism and the climate change denialism of the people who are voting for him. Forget about NASA, forget about the IPCC, forget about literally everyone who has ever studied this. The only people who have ever come out against the idea that climate change is a serious problem are the oil companies, right? Who we should definitely round up and arrest the CEOs and investors of, and have a gigantic trial in order to tell everybody, hey, lying to the public about this sort of thing should be a high crime, should be considered treason. But we're not that intelligent and we're not that interested, right? And this is especially obvious because looks like we're just going to re-elect Doug Ford, right? Because we're on this hysteria-based suicidal path to pursue our own destruction. Like, when Doug Ford comes into office, one of the very first things he did was he destroyed over 700 renewable energy and climate change related programs. Like, he spent $200 million to do it. So not only are they committed to ensuring the entrenchment of the fossil fuel industry, they're going to pay more money in order to ensure that we cannot meaningfully transition and that we will plow into the brick wall of climate change with as much force as possible. And what this is creating in the populace, in the millennial generation especially, is an overwhelming sense of nihilism. I'm having conversations with people I respect where they are saying, well, this is it, right? We're just going to plow right into it. And they still wake up in the morning and they still go to their job and they still drive their car and they still raise their children and they're still doing all of these kinds of things, all while the leader, who they themselves are electing, is doing everything he can to destroy the place. At what point do we say that this whole system has lost its legitimacy? At what point do we stand up as a people and say, this system cannot be participated with? It is intolerable. Because not only have we raised up in front of us as our icon and our leader a chaos death knight who is hell-bent on the destruction of the species, the alternatives are wimpy, weak losers who absolutely refuse to raise their voice to the moment. We need a war economy in this country and across the globe in order to fight climate change. We need to restructure our entire economy to face this threat head on and seriously. But in order to do it, we're going to have to look at the parasites and the losers, the investors, right? Who provide no value, who simply siphon away wealth for themselves while simultaneously destroying the species, and tell them to get fucked. And you can't do that with a political system and a political structure that they own. It's very straightforward and it's very obvious at this point that if we continue to vote for any of these parties, if we continue to funnel all of our political energy into this dead political system, then what the result is going to be is a complete and total and utter catastrophe. We have to begin linking up with local groups, unions, communist movements, socialist movements, and I don't mean the Democratic Party, and I don't mean the NDP, and I don't mean the Green Party, I mean the Communist Party, right? I mean actual socialist movements and actual communist movements, not the people who just mouth platitudes in that direction while continuously paying fealty to a neoliberal death cult. And we have to organize with them with the clear-minded objective to surround the halls of power. It's the only way that we are going to be able to recover from this. But the concern for me is this millennial nihilism that exists. That we believe as a species that we are the most impressive thing going on in the world, and that's not true at all. Even a tiny little bit, it's simply not the case. The most powerful force is the earth itself. The earth created us. The earth created this garden that we are burning to the ground. The earth made everything. We spawned from the earth. The earth is far more than capable of healing itself. We simply need to give it the space to do so, because we are not going to destroy the earth. We're simply putting the earth in a position where it's going to shrug and say, well, I guess I have to destroy you. And that's exactly what it's going to do, unless we start playing ball. And the only way we can start playing ball is by reducing emissions. Stop polluting. Stop listening to these grifters and these liars who are only here to sell you products so that they can maintain their position of power that has no legitimacy in the first place, that you don't need to abide by except through force and coercion. It's time for a full-scale rebellion. There is no other option. And unless you're just going to sit there and shrug and continue going to your job while the place burns down around you, this is the path for you. Find your local communists, find your local socialists, begin to organize along these lines, and actually show up and do things. All right, guys, this is the end of this video. As always, you are a quantum being walking around in quantum energy. The billionaire class is spending hundreds of billions of dollars in the vain hope that you'll never realize it, and you'll just stay the good little commodity that they need you to be. Revolt, rebel, repent. Good luck. We're gonna need it.